Are you struggling to form healthy relationships or friendships? And are you trying to decide whether or not you want to end one? In this episode, we're going to talk about the different elements of a healthy relationship with others. We're going to talk about the different ways that communication can play into it, boundaries, setting boundaries with other people, with friends, family, and other people trying to get in. We're going to talk about ways of guaranteeing longevity in the relationship. Most importantly, we're going to be looking at how to satisfy the needs of your partner and how neglecting any of these elements will erode the relationship over time. Welcome to From the Canopy, a podcast series devoted to guiding you through emotional healing. This is a space for slowing down and looking at life from a little higher up as we ascend your tree to the canopy, where the air feels calmer and the perspectives start to open. So settle in, take a breath, and let's see what the view looks like today from the canopy. So in this model, we look at it as a structure, as like a building we build. So we'll start off with talking about the different pillars of this relationship that keep the thing standing. So the first pillar is being seen. We want to make our partner feel that they are understood and that they are accepted for who they are. Through active listening to the other person genuinely and hearing what they have to say and hearing it from their perspective and taking a step back from your own sort of viewpoints and trying to take a moment to see it from their perspective and being able to communicate honestly with each other. You're acknowledging positive thoughts and feelings about them, and you're communicating those to them. You're not just keeping it to yourself. You're letting them know how you feel about them, what you think about them through words of affirmation. And you're going to acknowledge their needs, and you're going to respect their needs. So essentially what you're communicating to your partner is, hey, I understand you. And I appreciate you. Another pillar is being supportive. You want to let your partner feel as though they are free to be themselves. They can choose to pursue their path and their goals without your criticism and without your restraint or judgment. And there's someone that you can lean on, and they can lean on you when either one of you are struggling. So you're free to be messy, and they're going to allow that and respect that. So essentially what you're communicating here is, go do that thing you've always wanted to do. I'll be here by your side, cheering you on, supporting you. I don't have to enjoy doing it, but I'm going to support you while you do it. The other one is feeling safe. So your boundaries are communicated and they're respected by the partner. You feel emotionally safe with your partner. You want to make them feel emotionally safe. You don't judge each other. You don't invalidate their feelings or dismiss their experiences. You're consistent with how you're showing up. You're not an asshole one day and then loving the next. You're showing care and compassion for them. You're understanding their feelings and you're worried about making them feel good You don't want them to feel horrible. You don't want them to feel bad. You don't want them to feel negative emotions. So you're trying to, when you communicate and interact with them, you're showing care and compassion for their well-being. And the last one of emotional safety, I would say, is you're not constantly triggering turmoil with them. You're not constantly making things a big deal. It's not always everything's not always an issue. So they're kind of free to be themselves. They're free to make mistakes, and you're able to communicate through that. Then we go into psychologically safe. This one's important. This is one where a lot of people in toxic relationships struggle. If there's control or manipulation or toxicity, that person's not going to feel psychologically safe. Nobody wants to feel controlled and manipulated. And then most importantly, which is pretty obvious to most, is our bodies are respected. We're not abused physically. We're not sexually abused. We're not forced to have sex when we don't want to have sex. We're not forced to do things we don't want to do with our bodies. And then the last of the pillars is feeling secure. So this is essentially feeling like I trust my partner. I don't have to worry about them. I trust that they're going to be looking out for my best interest. And I also trust that they're committed into this relationship. I'm not constantly worried that they're going to leave me. Loyalty is another big one. This, again, is loyal from they're not going to be formulating intimate relationships behind your back with other people and then obviously like having an affair or build a relationship up such that they can leave you for them. The communication is open and honest, and you can do so securely without the fear of any sort of repercussions. And I've got a need, I want to communicate that need, or I've got a boundary, I need to communicate that boundary, and it's not met with repercussions. I mean, these are clear signs that it's not going to work out. Conflicts. Everybody has conflicts. It's how you handle those conflicts. Is it a healthy means of communication through that conflict? Are they willing to try to resolve that conflict, or are they avoidant and are they just like constantly shutting you down and be like, I don't want to talk about it? I don't know. Why is it such a big issue for you? It's none of that stuff. When it comes to accountability, like when it comes to them doing things and they screw up, we all screw up. Are they holding themselves accountable for that? Are they sharing the effort and the work for resolving these things? And like I've said before, you feel secure when you're confident that your boundaries are going to be respected. So to really feel secure in a relationship, what's being communicated to your partner is, hey, no matter what, I will still be here for you. We can go through shit, but I'm not leaving you. We're going to work through this. So with those four pillars stand on what's called self-mastery. This is really about yourself. You need to be fairly secure with yourself and have a lot of self-respect in order to even hold up those pillars. Without it, you can't fundamentally support those pillars. So to build any structure, you need a solid foundation on which to build upon. So that foundation that I mentioned is made up of the self. Through self-love, self-respect, self-mastery, self-awareness, and self-control. If you don't have self-control, you're going to have difficulties behaving appropriately in the relationship. You also need to have the ability to grow. We all are not perfect, but there's incremental improvements that we can make over time. And as long as you're the type of person who puts the effort in into bettering yourself, to show up better in your relationships, to be just all around willing to improve and not be stuck in your old ways, you're going to be fine. And you're going to be communicating to your partner that, hey, listen, I'm not perfect and I've got flaws, but I'm willing to fix it. And I'm not just saying it, I'm doing it. And I'm demonstrating to you that I'm improving. So the more we grow, the bigger our foundation is. So we're widening our foundation, and this allows us to have bigger relationships that we can build. If you got a really weak, small foundation, you really can't build much. But if you really build a wide, solid foundation, we can build for ourselves better relationships. So now let's talk about communication. This is what I use the roof in that analogy. So the roof is there to protect the structure below it. It protects all of those pillars. It protects yourself. And you do that through healthy communication. If you don't have communication, it all goes to shit. So you need open, honest, and a respectful exchange of your thoughts and your feelings and needs. So if you identify what your needs are and you're able to communicate that, you're going to protect your relationship. So communication is characterized by active listening, and active listening is probably its own episode in itself. But fundamentally, active listening is all about putting yourself in the perspective of the other person. You're giving them the space. You're not interrupting. You're not thinking your own thoughts while they're talking. You're trying to understand through their words what they're trying to say. You're clearly and verbally expressing, and not just verbally, through body language too, and your tone of voice, expressing what it is you're trying to communicate. So essentially, you're also providing those non-verbal cues. Like that's the body language and the tone. And most important is empathetic understanding. Really being able to communicate, like through your empathy and understanding what they're going through and getting out of yourself for a second, you're going to be able to better connect in that communication with your partner. They're going to feel understood. You're going to disarm them by expressing empathetic understanding. Communicate back to them what you think you've heard from them, and respect and validate their experiences, because just because you may not see it the same way doesn't mean that how they're seeing it is wrong. It's their perspective, and their perspective is giving them an emotional experience to the situation. Respect it and understand it. So when you have your disagreements, you need to approach those disagreements collaboratively. And it goes both ways too. You can do all you can to communicate out, but if the other person's not doing the same thing, it gets very difficult. So lastly, I would say, if you look at the conflict that you're having as a problem to be solved together rather than a battle against each other, I think you'll do fine. And as long as you're trying to understand each other through that conflict, you're going to be fine. Now, you've built your structure. Things seem to be fine. But you also need to have external boundaries. This is what I'm calling the fencing, the stone walls. Not the stone wall in the sense of like icing out and ghosting. I'm talking stone walls of like the boundaries of the relationship. This is what we've constructed our relationship and we're building this boundary around it and saying, hey, this is what we're going to let end. So the fencing that you both build is what guards against the outside influence. And what I mean by that is your friends will cast judgment and they'll say things. Your families may not approve and they'll try to say things and try to influence your decisions or thoughts. There may be people, romantic pursuers, people on the outside that want to date one of you. There'll always be someone to try to tempt that, and they'll slowly try to dismantle the structure you've both worked on to create, convincing you that your partner is bad and wrong for you. It may be true. You have to reflect on that and actually establish whether that is true or not. But that's some of the issues with if you start letting people enter your bubble and communicating intimacy of your relationship out to the outside world, you're going to get influences in. So if you let them in the boundaries, it's going to dismantle your structure. So keep the intimacy within the relationship as private. That is what's beautiful about the relationship, is a private, intimate bond that you guys share. It's your world and no one else gets to see it. And I'm not talking about the manipulation and control that a lot of narcissists try to employ by keeping out the others completely. It's not isolating you from other people. It's keeping the intimacy private. So limit the sharing of your conflicts. Don't humiliate your partner by broadcasting your conflicts to the outside world and allowing their biased perspectives into your structure. And you need to recognize when there are romantic pursuers. If there are, and they're pursuing you, you need to establish very strict boundaries with those potential threats. And you need to be open with your partner about that pursuit. And if your partner is mature and respectful, they're not going to interfere, because your partner needs to respect the partner that's being pursued, is understanding that it's not their fault that they're being pursued by someone else. It has to do with the other person. So the person being pursued, set the boundaries with the pursuer, and the partner needs to respect that and not punish the pursued partner. Otherwise, you're just a jealous partner. And if you're that other partner and you're seeing that your partner that's being pursued is not establishing the boundaries, they're actually welcoming those flirtations and all these things, then that's a separate issue, and that's something that needs to get resolved with in the communication. That violates one of those 4 pillars, and the relationship will suffer because of that. So, you've built this structure, you've set the boundaries, but life happens. You get disturbances coming in from the outside world. Well, let's talk about unconditional love and commitment, which will establish the longevity of the relationship. So as long as that love is unconditional, you can work through the storms. So there'll be sunny days and there will be rainy days in relationships. And occasionally there will be violent storms that pass through. You need to stick it through that rough weather. Put the extra effort in. Do the maintenance on your structure to strengthen it to survive the elements. Secrets. These are like termites. They're hidden quietly within the walls of your structure. They will slowly and silently eat away at your structure, and eventually weakening it to the point of sudden collapse down the road. So, if you are keeping relationships, if you're keeping secrets from your partner, there's no immunity from this. Your relationship will eventually suffer. There will be unpredictable weather patterns around you. Day to day, you can't foresee them. Some will be easy and some will be challenging. So in order to strengthen the relationship and to guard against that slow rot of time, you need to seal that relationship with the unwaveringness of unconditional love. And when I think of unconditional love, is saying like when you really care for somebody else and you are really looking out for their well-being, it's just saying, you know what, I'm really pissed off at you right now and I'm really feeling like I'm hating you. But deep down, I love you and I'm not going to give up on you. That is what unconditional love is. And you need that to survive the longevity. Because if it's unconditional, if it's very conditional and they just stop meeting your needs, something else comes knocking on that fence, you're gonna be like, the grass looks green on the other side of that fence. But if you've got the unconditional love, you'll ignore that. So this really is essentially saying to your partner that no matter what, I will always be here to rebuild with you. No matter how damaged our structure gets, I will rebuild the structure with you. And I will help shield against anything or anyone that might try to destroy us. So, my last bullet, like I said, unconditional love. I care more about your well-being than I do my own. I'm willing to sacrifice my own needs because you mean so much to me. I'm willing to put you first. And you got to do that cautiously. You don't want to ultimately be a peon. That's another episode for dealing with manipulations and etc. But anyways, so you're saying to them, nothing you or anyone can do can take that love away. It's like the same thing you have with your family, except it's more intimate. You're also saying, I will sacrifice my own safety for your happiness. All right, so you've got your structure, you've got the plot of land you're building your structure on and you're putting your walls up or you're fencing up. Well, what about the ground you actually build it on? Well, the ground you build it on, the landscape, that has to do with our past and our past wounds. So the ground we build it on is full of history of both of our lives. That landscape in which we build upon the relationship is the current state of that life that includes all that baggage. And it's deeply affected by our past. So any unhealed wounds are like little sinkholes. We need to fix those first before we can begin self-mastery and relationship building. That means you don't have to be perfect, but don't go jumping into a relationship or trying to form a relationship if the ground you walk on is unstable. You need to heal that first. You don't have to be perfect. You just got to heal the old wounds and let that settle in for a bit. And this is where most people struggle, including myself. I'm not in a relationship. I should not be in a relationship for some time. I still have some more healing to do. But when that time comes, my landscape is going to be solid. The foundation is going to be cured. And I'll be ready to start building the pillars and put the roof on. So, for me personally, my landscape was surrounded by unhealed wounds, and they were patched up with unreliable coping mechanisms. I had the falsehood. I just sprinkled some dirt out there without really thinking about the stability of that soil. Those are the unhealthy coping mechanisms. So I should never have been trying to build a relationship without healing those. And lastly, what I want to make sure I talk about is choosing to end a relationship. So you've spent some time building the structure with someone else, and you're starting to feel like, I don't think I can do this anymore. I want to abandon this house, and I want to try to build something else somewhere else. So this should help you kind of evaluate whether or not you should end it or not using this model. So as time rolls on, each element of this structure can strengthen or weaken. So we'd hope that through that growth, we're constantly able to strengthen the relationship over time, 10, 20, 30, 40 years down, and we're still strengthening it. Or we're neglecting it and we're letting the house rot and weaken. So negligence on any part of any element will ultimately cause the supported elements to fail, the elements above it to fail. It's almost like with your house. If you fail to take care of the structure and fail to maintain it, it will collapse. So if you neglect the roof, i.e., you're neglecting the communication, you're not openly communicating with your partner, it will cause the lower elements to be exposed to the weather. You get a leaky roof, rot's going to happen. If you neglect any of the 4 pillars, any one of them that's lacking will require extra effort on the other 3. And if you lose more than 1, and you lose 2, you can't support the roof. You're done. If you're neglecting yourself, which is the foundation, you're prohibiting yourself from being present in the relationship. You can't support the walls, the pillars, nor can you have healthy communication if you're not taking care of yourself. If you fail to heal your past wounds, that landscape breaks down. So it breaks down our mental state, and it weakens our ability to support the structure. And if you neglect the boundaries by allowing those external influences to dismantle any of the structural elements, it'll cause the destruction. You let some pursuer into the walls, it's going to start. It's like, let's say you're in a relationship, some guy is pursuing your girlfriend, they're going out to dinner, grabbing drinks with them periodically. She has now let this person into this structure. You're going to, being as the other partner, you may not feel as safe and secure. And you may not be able to feel like you can communicate that stuff. Your structure is going to quickly collapse. So don't neglect those boundaries. This is probably the biggest one that destroys most relationships. People hold on to relationships for too long after having let in these external influences. I know I did. I knew this guy was around for so long, and I ignored it. Pretty much in all cases. Yeah, I predicted all of mine. So once enough of the structure rots and the communication fails, the relationship crumbles and it will fail. It will fall. So deciding to end the relationship, you should really decide fundamentally this. This is the most important part. The whole thing could be rotted. But both parties need to be willing to show up to help rebuild the structure. You can't have one person trying to rebuild it. You both need to rebuild the structure. So, I think this is a good analogy to kind of help set the mind in motion for thinking about it appropriately. It's not an all-encompassing thing. use this as a model. Think through it. Think of your relationship as a structure. Make sure you got communication. Make sure you're letting your partner feel seen, feel supported in what they're doing. They feel safe and secure. Keep your shit together. Go to therapy. Work through your shit. And keep people out of the intimate parts of the relationship. I wish you all luck. And take this all for a grain of thought, because I am single. Because I can't hold relationships. But I can analyze them.